Hello, welcome to the Oakland A's UK live stream on Monday, April 10th. It is the Monday review. I am Matt. We're here on the YouTube channel and on our Twitter account. And let's be honest, some teams' fans get to have celebratory gatherings where they talk about their wonderful players and great series wins. We are not in that situation. This is group therapy. This is 15 minutes hate of John Fisher. However you want to frame it, this is for all of us. We need it. We need some sort of community support network around ourselves to deal with what's going on with the Oakland A's yet again. And we all knew it would happen. But the start of the season has been particularly demoralizing with the continued shameful silence around the A's future and a dreadful series against the Tampa Bay Rays. And yes, I know this isn't a nice topic to talk about, but that is what we'll be having a look at over the next half an hour or so. We will be looking back at the Rays series. So today, sum up that Rays series in 3 words, if you can. Expletives, acceptable and probably unavoidable. But let me know your thoughts from the Rays game. If you're watching live, if you're watching on YouTube later on, you can stick in your thoughts in the comments section and I'll do my best to reply. But yes, we've got to look back at that Rays series because it was a nadir, I would say. It was a pretty shocking effort all round against a very good team. We all know that, but not good at all. So we will go through that. We will look at the roster news. It's been confirmed just about a couple of hours ago. Kevin Smith has been called up, so we'll look at that. And we'll look ahead to the 4-game series in Baltimore that starts tonight. And when I say tonight, I mean in about 3 hours' time, don't I? Particularly early out there on the East Coast. So yes, we will be looking forward to that. I don't know if looking forward to it is the word, but we will be looking ahead to it anyway. David, always good to hear from you. Spot on, Matt. The silence is deafening. It is. It's difficult to describe, isn't it, really? Somebody commented on one of our tweets overnight about how it looks a bit like, it's a bit like the film Major League, isn't it? And where they're almost deliberately tearing everything down and taking a scorched earth approach to line the way to Las Vegas. But the thing is, what they're doing, why, if you were a big business in Las Vegas, if you were a politician in Vegas, surely this would be putting you off just as much. We know how competitive a market Vegas is for entertainment. Why would you want to have anything to do with the A's, given the way they are run? And I know perhaps we'd be looking at an ownership change and things like that, but it is bizarre what they are doing. It is like we're coming up to the most crucial decision from a business standpoint that they've had for many years, and the most crucial decision for the franchise, a decision that is going to set the tone and set the direction of the franchise for decades to come. And they are doing it in the context of absolutely destroying any goodwill people have for the team and for the organization. And it is absolutely bizarre. So, yes, it's difficult to know. And because they're not talking Dave Cavill, when he talks, he sounds like an idiot. And I guess that's been the problem. He went on that rant around the Giants series last year and getting into an argument with the Twitter account of a seagull and all of that nonsense. So maybe it's just better for him to keep his mouth shut, I guess. But it's just a shameful way to treat A's fans. And I think that's as good as we can put it, really. Yes. Seems to be doing such a good job until 2019. And exactly. And that's been such the weird thing, David. Everything seemed very positive around the Rooted in Oakland campaign up there. And yeah, he was the person who it felt like was doing a good job of building bridges after some very difficult years and people really being alienated from the team and disenfranchised, really. He spoke a lot about ballpark fatigue, and it was Dave who was kind of leading the charge. Clearly, he works for Fisher, so this is what they've wanted to do. And I guess people like him will say the ends justifies the means. If going this way gets the new ballpark, that's what it's all about. But it's a very, very weird way of going about things. And yeah, no one is looking very good at all coming out of it. But there we go. Talking about not looking good. I almost don't want to get onto the Rays series, but it's what we're here for. It's what we're going to have to do. So let us dive into that. Sum up the Rays series in 3 words. How can you do it? Again, you can't do it without using a few swear words. I know that much. The Rays are a very good team. We know that. We know that coming into the season. They were 6-0 coming into the 3-game series at Tropicana Field. Plenty of teams will be swept by them this season. There's no question about that. This is nothing against the Rays. I know some people are trying to talk down the Rays a little bit, saying, well, yeah, they're 9-0, but they've faced Detroit, Washington, and Oakland. This is a very good team, but the whole effort, the whole vibe around the team and how they were playing was quite concerning. And it's very early days. I'm not going overboard in the criticism, but it was something I tweeted during the game. We need this to be everyone getting together after that game is to say, come on, this isn't who we are. We don't play like this. We need to do much better. Harold Ramirez for the Rays was hustling along. Twice he caught us out, and it's that sort of energy and that sort of desire to do well. Of course, every player wants to do well. I'm not saying that players are down in tools or anything like that. It's just game 3 in particular was a real showcase for everything that the Rays are doing well and everything that the A's are not doing well. As you put it, David, yes, it wasn't the losing, it's the way we lost. Exactly. There was we weren't competitive at all during that series, and that's a real shame. In truth, the first game was the best chance we had, really. Lost it 9-5, out-hit the Rays. Weird, right? We out-hit the Rays, but we got 5 runs on the board, but unfortunately, it just wasn't enough, was it? Because things went bad straight away. I'll move to this one. So Waldichuk whacked, as I put it there. 3 innings pitched by Waldichuk. 8 runs allowed, 4 of them on a home run. After giving up 3 home runs against the Angels in his last time out, he really needs to step things up, doesn't he? Adam Oller did well. Talking about stepping up, he did come in and pitch 5 innings, gave up a home run, but otherwise was solid. And those performances where a player like Oller, like Adrian Martinez, comes in and does the mop-up duty, they are really important, and especially so right now. I was looking at the stats from the Rays series. I think it was pretty much complete even split. 50% of the innings pitched by the 3 starters, 50% by the bullpen. That's just not good enough from the starting pitchers. And they know that better than anyone. But we really need to find some consistency from the starting pitchers, because you can't keep dipping into the bullpen again and again and again. You can't keep going back to that well. Langoliers, so Shea Langoliers did get his first home run of the season. Brian Noda got a home run in the game as well. So there was a bit of pop, but a bit of life. And that's the thing, as we were talking about, David, just a few moments ago, it's the way you lose. If you're going to get beat by the Rays, that's going to happen to lots of teams. It's the way you lose. We were competitive, at least in that first game. Second game, not at all. So the 2 games over the weekend were nice, easy viewing time for us in the UK, but unfortunately it was not. It was a sight for sore eyes, wasn't it? Fuji coming up again in this one, and it's the same old story. Now, I'm not writing Fuji off. I'm not writing him off, but we do have to be honest about this. Fuji was never able to consistently stay as a starting pitcher in Japan because of his command problems, because he walks too many guys, he has bad innings where things snowball on him. Expecting him not to be like that in the major leagues was at best optimistic, at worst quite foolish. Now, we all know the situation the A's are in. The A's had the chance to sign someone with Fuji's talent because we were prepared to give him a chance to start in the rotation in a way that other major league teams, by the sounds of it, were not so keen to do. They wanted to use him out the bullpen. So it was it's a dice worth throwing, right? But I do wonder how long we will be able to keep going, not least because we're currently looking to pitch him every Saturday, and that has an impact on the rest of the rotation. And we've got enough problems as it is without having to work around one starting pitcher who's not pitching very well when he gets in there. So That's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Acevedo then came in, not so ace from him. He gave up a couple of home runs, four runs in his innings. So that wasn't great. And it ended up with Carlos Perez, the catcher who made the roster on opening day, having to come out and pitch the ninth inning, which is kind of, I know we had the one with Kai Tom going back a couple of years ago where he came out and pitched against the Astros. And that one was funny, but this one was not. It was waving the white flag, being beaten up by another team. And it carried on Sunday. And Sunday was a very, very, what can I say? Just a demoralizing loss, not just 11-0. I mean, 11-0, only getting one hit, that's bad enough. But we were atrocious in this game, made so many mistakes. Mistake after mistake is what I put on here. Top of the second, even this one, Ramon, you could say Ramon is trying to make something happen. I don't mind a mistake when you're being aggressive. I'm not so bothered about that, but he tried to steal third base. And although the call was rightly overturned, we know what New York are like when it comes to A's replay calls. They often screw us over. So we were really leaving that one to chance. There was no need to try and steal third base there. Again, I'm not going to be too harsh on someone making a mistake when they're being aggressive, but it wasn't great thinking. That obviously came on the back of the ridiculous decision to send Jesus Aguilar in the second game when he was coming round third base. He was never going to get home. What Eric Martin's third base coach was thinking, I do not know. But he was never going to get round to score. We should have had bases loaded with Nick Allen coming up. We ran ourselves out of that inning. Was that a sign of just how little confidence the team have in Nick Allen, that they thought, well, we may as well chance it because it's Nick Allen. He isn't going to do anything anyway. I hope not, because that's really given up on a young talent far too early. But yeah, it was little things like that. Sending Jesus in the second game when he didn't need to. The mistake there. Ramon stealing third base when he didn't really need to. Peterson letting Ramirez get on base in the fourth inning. Diaz should have got him at second. And of course, next pitch, grand slam. Kemp throwing the ball to first base when there was no one covering. It was a disaster. It was circus time. It was, send in the clowns, squirty flour and all of that nonsense. Car breaking down, it was ridiculous. And it was just one of those games where anything that could go wrong did go wrong. And again, the exact opposite for the Rays. They were getting all of the fundamentals right. They were doing things well, and they were getting their reward. So they blitzed us in this series. It was 11-0, and we were lucky to get nil, quite frankly. We were greatly outclassed. It was a good object lesson in what we need to do. But yeah, there is a lot of work to do. That is for sure. So plenty of comments coming through. Matt is talking up the series in Baltimore. Well, let's get a sweep in Baltimore. Maybe we'll come to that. 4 games. I don't know. I think I might, if we can get a split in Baltimore, I think that would be pretty good going the way we're playing at the moment. Points out that Walterchuk. Walterchuk is pitching game 3. Yes, he is. We'll come to the pitching matchups in a moment. Red Sox to beat Tampa Bay. Yeah, that's going to be a good series. Brandino says 100% New York doesn't like us. No, last season I made a little matrix, like a decision-making flowchart thing, which was basically whichever way you went, it screwed over the A's. Yeah, so we got that one when Ramon was stealing third base, but we've got enough things going against us without leaving it to New York Review to screw us over, haven't we? Laura, always nice to hear from you. Look forward to seeing Swerve and Evan on Thursday. Really like Colt. Yeah, I mean, and that was another one of many bizarre decisions over the offseason, right? Came out of nowhere. Mark Kotsay was saying early in the offseason, Cole was the one person who was guaranteed to be in the starting rotation. Everyone else's place was up for grabs because of injury, because of form. Cole had earned that slot in the rotation, and we trade him. Like everyone needs starting pitching. Even if you're a rebuilding team, you want some solid starting pitching, because without it is exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing starters going 3 innings, 3 1/3 innings, 4 innings, which means we're having to go to the bullpen again and again and again. They start wearing down, and it's just snowballs from there. So it was a bizarre decision. Will be good to see Cole. We all love Cole Irvin. And yeah, it looks like he's going on Thursdays, doesn't it? So seems like probably against Adam Warner. We'll see. But yeah, good to see Cole. Hope he does really well. He would often pitch in a day game. I don't know why. I think that's just where his part in the rotation came last year. We tended to see him a lot in the UK because those are the games we get to see live, of course. So yeah, it will be good to see him. But yeah, hopefully, well, I don't know. I don't even want to wish an off day on him because let's be honest, it's not going to matter if we win or lose the game anyway, really. But there we go. Yes, says, I just want to see some quality starts and attacking the zone. Pitches have either been too aggressive, Wildy, or too many walks. Yes, and again, we can look at the Rays in a very different part of their development to where we are. That was so obvious how they were absolutely pounding the strike zone. Every single one of them was just going after hitters. They were trusting their stuff. They were attacking. They were on the front foot. They were taking the initiative. And we just weren't. We were throwing out of the zone. Fuji, as you mentioned, he looks so good at times. That's the frustrating thing. The stuff is there. You can see why he's such an intriguing arm. But he was, what's the best way to put it? He when he was missing, they were really bad misses. You can have good misses where they're close and you're maybe tempting the hitter a little bit, even though it gets called for a ball, but they weren't even close a lot of the time. He was throwing a slider and it wasn't even close. And if you know you can discount it, then you can wait for the pitches to come to you and then hit it. We saw that with Waldichuk in his start. So many of those pitches were up in the zone and they were just waiting for it. They were waiting on that pitch and then they were letting fly. So there's talent. We know Waldichuk's talented. We know Fuji's talented. There's talent in those players. It's growing pains and it's difficult to watch at times, but that is the thing. You've got to learn quickly. You've got to adapt quickly in the big leagues. You've got to make those adjustments because if you don't, you get tanked. And that's exactly what's happened over this last season. Fuji pitching game 3 versus Mets. You dear. Oh dear. I mean, the Mets. Yes. So yeah, playing the Mets, playing the Cubs. Yeah, God, I don't know. I don't trust Fuji against anyone at the moment, and that's really disappointing because again, we know he's got the talent. You've just got to hope that something clicks with him. I don't think he's going to be a guy we can expect to go 6 innings. If we get 5 good, strong innings from him, I think we'd take that every time. Really, you'd like him to go deeper, but he's very much. I know it's a big trend across baseball anyway. Managers not really being overly keen to let a starting pitcher go through a lineup a third time, but especially someone like Fuji, if you can get him through the lineup twice and pitch him well, I think you take that and you put it in the bank and you move on rather than push your luck. Day game, I like our fighting day games. Yeah, absolutely. Again, a day game in the States means it's evening time here in the UK. So we get to watch those ones live a bit more than the early morning stuff for us when it's like 2:00 in the morning. So we generally have done well in day games. I mean, at the moment, we're not doing well in any game, are we? But look, there's always hope. That's the nature of a baseball season. There's 162 games. That sounds a bit, I don't even know the word, intimidating, demoralizing. Pick your word, basically. It's a lot to have coming at us, but there are opportunities there, and that's really what we've got to look at. And none more so than the next piece of news. So let's bring this up if we can. There we go. Let's go to a bigger one. There we go. So yes, it was confirmed just a couple of hours ago. Kevin Smith is being recalled to the roster. Now, the negative part of this is that Seth Brown suffered an injury, a strained left oblique. I think it was on a check swing or an attempted check swing, which can happen. So he has gone onto the injured list. Don't know how long he'll be out for. It's the sort of thing, those oblique strains are the sort of things whereby you do need to be a bit cautious with them because if you don't make sure you're fully recovered, you come back a little too early, you'll do it again, basically. So, and of course, that's the nature of this season as well. We want to make sure Brownie is fit and well. But boy, does Kevin Smith deserve a chance here. had a tough time of things, let's be honest. He came in a Matt Chapman deal. We'll get to Matt Chapman. Not a nice subject, but we'll get to Matt Chapman soon. Came in that deal. There was a lot of pressure on him. He was one of the guys who went straight onto the roster. He came in at third base, directly replacing Matt Chapman. And he struggled. He struggled really, really badly to the point of being demoted. And the big thing, and this happened also to Christian Pache, he then struggled in AAA, and that's a concern. However, with Kevin Smith, he turned it on the last 3-4 weeks of the minor league season. He was absolutely blazing the ball all over the place. Ridiculous numbers, how many home runs he was hitting. And I know it's Vegas and that league, the Pacific Coast League or whatever it's called now, the ball does fly in those ballparks. But Kevin Smith was really impressive. He was then impressive again in spring training. And a lot of people thought he would make the roster. I'm sure he would feel a bit hard done by that. He didn't. But at the same time, I'm sure the coaching staff were very keen to impress on him. Look, you'll get your chance. You'll come up. Bide your time. Go to Vegas. Keep doing what you're doing and you'll get your opportunity. He's been absolutely smashing the ball. Pretty much every other at bat, he's hitting the ball hard in Vegas. So here he is. He's called up. He gets his chance, and good on him. Really hope he does well. His minor league track record suggests that he will be a decent major leaguer. Maybe not an all-star or anything like that, but a decent major leaguer. And we've got to hope that that's how things come through. Now, the great Melissa Lockhart, who writes at The Athletic, well worth a subscription, I would say. She did post some comments about this just an hour or so ago, and it's a bit small probably on your screen, but I can talk you through it a bit. She points out that can this be his Josh Donaldson moment? As Melissa says, if you recall, in 2012, Donaldson was named the A's starting third baseman, but was sent down to AAA, has struggled in MLB in 2010. It was an injury to Brandon Inge, remember him, that opened the door for Donaldson to come back onto the big league roster in 2012. And he was great from there, and that's when his career took off. As Melissa notes, no one's expecting Kevin Smith to have the same career as Josh Donaldson, but it's a good example of how easy it is for us to forget how difficult it is at the big leagues, how big of a jump from AAA to the trip to the majors it is. It's a big leap up in competition, in the level, in the demands, in the pressure that's put on you day in, day out in the big leagues. And there are lots and lots of players who go on and have successful careers who struggle in their first year or two, getting their feet wet in the major leagues, adjusting to the league, adjusting to them, and making their way. So there is no question Kevin Smith has talent, and hopefully this is his opportunity. And that's what this season is all about. We all know it. That's what this season is all about. We want guys to come in, get an opportunity, and grab it with both hands. It's been the thing with a few of the players that we've signed, whereby, look, this is your chance. You're going to get an opportunity with the A's. It's up to you to take it. Hopefully, this is a season when a few of those guys will put their hands up and they will do just that. But what do you think? Do you think Kevin Smith will start? I think we have to be realistic as to how big of an impact he can make. We shouldn't put too much pressure on him to be this great season turner, this guy who's going to turn everything around for us. You know, let's just let him settle in. The big thing for me is that I want him to get regular at-bats. Okay. We'll look at the lineup in a moment. The lineup for today's game has been announced, and he is in the lineup and playing shortstop today. So we'll get to that. But it's something I'm thinking about with Nick Allen. Clearly, he's not going to play as much as we hoped he would this season. He's going to play more against lefties, but otherwise may not get many at-bats. I understand Nick Allen hasn't got a good track record necessarily of a hitter, and maybe it will ultimately be a bit of a struggle and he will be more of a utility fielder. Who knows? But what I do know is that unless he gets regular at-bats, he's never going to develop into a better hitter. Just giving him a start every now and then and a pinch hit appearance every now and then isn't going to help him. And it's the same for Kevin Smith. There's no point in bringing him up if he isn't going to get regular starts and get 3-4 at-bats a night against big league pitching. Otherwise, he's not going to develop. And I would say the same for Brent Rooker. I know a lot of people are very down on Rooker. Don't like the fact that Pache got released or traded ultimately to make way for Rooker. And I understand that, but Rooker has the potential to be someone like a Brandon Moss or a Stephen Vogt, someone who spent a long time in the minors, was just waiting for a team that wasn't in a competitive phase at that time, were able to give him regular starts, regular at-bats, to go through the growing pains and to really capitalize on the talent he has. He is a masher. He can hit the ball a long way. He has proved that in AAA. He can hit AAA pitching a long, long way. Can he do it in the big leagues? Maybe not. But what we've seen already this season is that he's hardly playing. He gets he started one of the games. I think he started on Saturday, and I think he started another game. He's only made like 2 or 3 appearances. And again, if you're looking at Brent Rooker, he's either one of 2 things. One, he's a guy who is better than what we've got, in which case he should be playing. Or he's a guy who has some warts, but has some potential, and we want to see if he can develop and become something for the team for the future. And if that's the case, he has to be playing. There's no point in having Brent Rooker on the roster if he's not playing. He's not going to get any better by not playing. We know he can hit AAA pitching. There's no point in sending him there. He needs to be playing. If we've got him on the roster, he needs to play. If you're not going to play him, don't put him on the roster and don't give up on Christian Pache. Anyway, I know that ship has sailed, but it annoys me. So there we go. Brandino says, I would love Smitty get consistent ABs and just gets hits, not bombs, just hits it on base. Yeah, and I think maybe that was something for Kevin Smith last season. I know we did an interview. I think it was Martin Gallegos, the A's beat writer, I think, on MLB.com. Again, it's easy from the outside, but there must have been that pressure on him thinking, well, I've just been traded for Matt Chapman. I'm the third baseman or shortstop. I'm coming into the team. I need to try and replace Matt Chapman. And it's so many players talk about it. I know it happens in every sport, but I think it's particularly relevant to baseball. Sometimes the worst thing you can do is try to do too much. And you just try to hit home runs, try to get the big hits. You're kind of getting away from what makes you a good player. You're exactly right, Brandino. Just a good approach at the plate, get your hits, take what's given to you, go the other way, get on base. If it's there to whack, give it a whack. But just get some consistent at-bats. He needs consistent at-bats. I'm glad he's in the lineup today. That's for sure. So let's have a look ahead to the Orioles series. Let's bring up this if I can. There we go. Let me get rid of the logo there. There we go. So this is the series ahead, 4-game series at Camden Yards. A beautiful ballpark. I haven't been there yet. I definitely want to get there one year. The starting pitcher matchups are a little bit to be determined because it looks like Ken Waldichuk's going Wednesday, Ola on Thursday, but we don't quite know just yet. But this seems to be the way. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are night games in Baltimore, or 6:35 night games in Baltimore. So 3:35 locally in California. And I'm not sure why it's 3:35 and 11:40 on my graphic, so apologies for that. But it's basically, coming up to midnight here in the UK, the first 3 games. And then it's the Thursday game, which is an early one, particularly early out there in California, 5 minutes past 10 in the morning. So it's 5 minutes past 1 in Baltimore. So it's 5 minutes past 6 p.m. here in the UK. So finish off work. I'll hopefully be working from home that day. So straight on to the baseball. And in terms of the Orioles, they've started the season 4-5. They won the home opener on Friday, 7-5 over the Yankees, but dropped in the remaining 2 games. They've got some good players, most notably, obviously, Adley Rutschman went 4 for 4 yesterday. He's an insanely good young player, very talented player. So he is someone who's going to be a real threat against us. But let's be honest, everyone's a bit of a threat against us at the moment. And if we go past there and go past there, we can take a look at the lineup for today. So there we go. So this is what Mark Corsey is going for today, subject to any late scratches or anything like that. So Tony Kemp playing second base, leading off against it's Carl Gibson today, isn't it? Right-hander. Rhino that comes back into the team. I've been impressed with how he's looked early this season. So he gets moved up the lineup. He has been having some good at-bats. I know he strikes out a bit, but he goes up to the 2-hole. Aledmus Diaz clearly really going to want to make amends for the tough day he had yesterday. It was great to see the way James Caprellian dealt with that and went to go and speak to him in the dugout. Just said, hey, chin up, basically. We all make mistakes, but Diaz is going to want to make amends for that. Ramon, who has started the season well, he's probably been across the whole game's probably been our best hitter, I suspect, which is always good to see because we love Laleza. He's batting fourth, playing right field. Jace Peterson is in at third base. So I did wonder where they would fit Kevin Smith in, but he comes in at shortstop, which is his natural position. Has played quite a bit at third base, but Jace Peterson stays at third base. Kevin Smith at shortstop. Diaz moves to designated hitter. So no room for Jesus Aguilar, which is an interesting one with Ryan Oda being at first base. Connor Capel comes in and is going to play left field in place of Seth Brown. Shade Angler is behind the plate. And Estuary Ruiz is in centre field and batting ninth. So there we go. What do you think about that? We need Ramon and Diaz to have better quality AB strikeouts, not what we need. No, yeah, that's very true. I think with Ramon, that's kind of become part of his game. And I don't know. It's the same thing with Ramon. He's an aggressive player and you kind of don't want to take that away from him. I think he's the sort of player where if he's in a good lineup, you would accept the strikeouts a bit more because he's going to give you something when he makes contact. Perhaps he needs to be a bit more disciplined, given the role he needs to play in our lineup this season. I think that's possibly a fair shout. Diaz has got a few hits, but he is striking out. I was glad when we got him. He brings a lot of experience from his time with the Astros and also the Cardinals. And I think he'll come good. I think it's been a tough start for him, but he's playing regularly, and I think he will come good. He does generally put together good professional at-bats. Again, maybe it's another thing. He's come in as a free agent. He's not on a big contract. He's been brought in to be a veteran leader on the team, to lead the way, to show by example. And maybe he's just trying to do a bit too much, perhaps. It's the way things can go for a baseball team. Things are going wrong for us. We're losing games left, right, and center. We're making mistakes. It's so easy. Mistake can lead to a mistake, can't it? Your head drops a bit because you do something wrong on the field. Therefore, you try and make up for it at the plate. It's the worst thing you can do. And everyone who plays the game knows it's the worst thing you can do. But it's easy to say. It's much harder to do when you're under the pressure, isn't it? So, yeah, better quality ABs, that's for definite. I think, frankly, that can go for every single player in the roster, can't it? That's the thing. I think it is back to basics. And I'd like the team to kind of look at it that way coming into Baltimore. Baltimore are a decent team. They've got some good young talent, as we mentioned, but they're not a team like the Rays. So there is an opportunity to get a couple of wins. What I want to see is a group of players who have decided, okay, let's get back to basics. We'll do the fundamentals right. We'll put together good at-bats. We'll make the simple plays. We'll take the easy out if it's there. We'll just do the right things. We were very aggressive on the base pads in spring. We haven't been so far. In the regular season, albeit we've often been out of games where you're not going to be stealing bases anyway. But let's just get back to basics. Let's start seeing some good fundamental baseball being played, not chucking the ball around in the field, not swinging and missing constantly and putting together bad at-bats. Put together some good at-bats, do the fundamentals right, make the basic plays, and bit by bit, the confidence will grow, the results will start to come. We'll start to get a few wins on the board. And hopefully we'll get somewhere. It's still very, very early. I've seen people on Twitter, and we know what social media is like, don't we? But some people have basically been talking it up like, right, get rid of Diaz, get rid of Brooker. And it's like, no. It's 9 games. I mean, again, I understand the frustration with the likes of Brooker and Capel. Maybe we could have kept Pache. Maybe someone like Kevin Smith could have got a chance earlier. But when a front office makes that decision, you don't cut bait after 9 games. That's just madness. So they've got to give them a go for a couple of months at the very least, you suspect, and see what we've got, and then work from there, basically. In terms of some other roster updates, while we are at the the roster position in terms of thinking it through, we do have some pitching coming back. Boy, oh boy, is that needed. The bullpen is being worked overtime. The starting pitchers are not going deep into games. I will say, Cap, for all that the pitching line doesn't look very pretty at the end of it, Cap did a decent job. Was burned badly by the Grand Slam, but overall, he showed signs that his next start could be a really good one. Let's hope so. That's obviously going to be against the Mets, but we do have Paul Blackburn and the new recruit Drew Ruzinski coming in. Paul Blackburn pitched for the Stockton Ports on Friday. He is going to have a rehab outing with AAA Las Vegas on Tuesday. Expected to go something like 3 innings, 45 pitches. So hopefully, if Lat goes well and he's healthy, his next start could be with the A's. As for Rosinski, similar thing. He's going to make a rehab start, looks like on Wednesday with Vegas. Again, likely going 3 innings, 45 pitches or so. So if they come through that, both of them come through that well, maybe we're looking sometime next week, early next week, those 2 guys coming in and giving us something. Now, of course, that's going to make some decisions in terms of needing to clear a space on the 26-man roster to get them in. But to me, that's a good thing. You know, I know there's a lot of pressure on players anyway, but if you're a Ken Waldichuk or someone like that, look, there's good guys coming. You've got to show something. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing, frankly. I think, come on, stake. You've got the chance. You've got the first go at this. Make it your own. If you can't do it, you'll go to AAA, keep working, but we'll bring someone else up. It felt like last system, it was very much a case of, this hasn't worked, right, just chuck someone else in. This hasn't worked, chuck someone else in. We want people to earn it. And if you're not quite doing it, there's someone else who's going to come in and hopefully take that shirt themselves. So we'll see. But Blackburn, Rosinski coming soon. And yeah, we need all the help we can get, can't we? Brandino, love that. Back to basics. Battle, get on base, make quality pitches, keep the county in favor, play good defense. But the other team made a mistake. Exactly. That was the way to describe the series against the Rays was that we, for all that they deserve the credit, the Rays absolutely deserve credit. We beat ourselves to a certain extent. You know, they're a very good team. They can beat you, sweep you up in a 3-game series just by being too good for you. They were too good for us, but we were poor. We gave them too many outs so many times. We gave them extra outs, and you just sat there thinking, these guys don't need extra outs. They're beating us anyway. Come on, let's get something going. And that's why I was tweeted during the game. A few people weren't quite so keen on my thoughts, like, you know, it's a bit early for turning points. But I do think that's the way the season goes. Back to basics. Let's get on with things. Oakland's Mets in 3 games. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting series, isn't it? Mets not quite started off this season quite as well as they hoped to do. Obviously, plenty of injuries for them, not least Justin Verlander, and obviously Diaz going down for the season. I forget who they're playing this week. They're playing someone, aren't they? Who is it they're playing? I remember looking at it. The Mets are playing someone earlier this week. Someone on the chat will remind me. But I remember looking at it thinking that's going to be an interesting series. A lot of home runs, Bay Area Bombers. Well, we need something, don't we, Matt? That's for sure. John Maddox has tweeted in with a real fundamental question in T parts. Would you still support the A's if they move to Vegas? So I always say this is a personal decision for people. in that we could all kind of make judgments against other people on what they want to do, but ultimately it's your own life, right? I know our stance. So myself, Dom, Mark, and Hannah, we're the A's UK, the four of us. Always welcoming other people on board, by the way. But we're the four key people behind it at the moment. We all are united on the thought that we all come from a football background, soccer background, where the idea of moving a team is just wouldn't happen. I know it happened to MK Dons, but we'll skirt over that. So we would really struggle to continue supporting the A's if they moved. And we've been so kindly and warmly embraced by people in Oakland, it would kind of feel like betraying them to leave. So the answer from me definitely is no. I wouldn't continue supporting the A's if they moved to Vegas. And I know that goes for the rest of the A's UK crew. I wouldn't turn on anyone who decided otherwise, because losing your team, if they're the team you love and they've always supported, is a difficult thing to process, and you may still wish to carry on supporting them. So I wouldn't go hard on anyone who decided to do that, but it wouldn't be for me. I wouldn't continue to support them. Whether I'd continue following baseball, I probably would, because I do love baseball. And to be honest, I watch more baseball than pretty much any other sport, even football. I think it would take me a while to kind of find another team, even if I did find another team. I don't know, but I'd still keep watching baseball because I enjoy the baseball. But yes, there we go. Just to end, we've been going nearly 45 minutes, blimey. Just to end, I thought I would have a quick look at some general MLB news whilst we're going. So, of course, the Rays going great guns at 9-0, but the team that's leading the way in the National League right now are the Milwaukee Brewers. So, good for them, I would say. They're obviously a small market team. I mean, pretty much the smallest market on most metrics. They've started 7-2, really good stuff. They dropped the opener, I think, against the Cubs. I remember watching some of that. Yes, they did. But they ended up winning 2-3 at Wrigley, swept the Mets at Citi Field. I remember that one. And then took 2-3 at home against St. Louis just this past weekend. They now have a 10-game road trip coming up. So they have got 3 games in Arizona, 4 in San Diego. That's a big series. And then 3 in Seattle. So lots of tough games coming up, but they've started really well. So good on the Brewers for that. Next up, the big play from yesterday, and let's just get me out of the way so we can look at the pictures. So this is O'Neill Cruz of the Pittsburgh Pirates, suffering a fractured left ankle after crashing into the White Sox catcher, Sebi Zavala. The picture on the left is him coming into the plate, and you can see that he is trying to stop. He is trying to stop himself from going in there, but he's got too much momentum. He goes through the catcher. I can understand the catcher being a bit annoyed at how he came in, but it was obvious straight away his reaction, O'Neill Cruz's reaction. He was injured. It was clearly so. Why Zavala was mouthing off, I do not know. That was ridiculous. And of course, we ended up with this situation where the bench is clear. You've got the trainers are there trying to protect the player who is writhing in agony because of fracturing their ankle, and they're having to wait and marshal everyone else from smashing into him, which was just ridiculous behavior by everyone, let's be honest. But yeah, real shame. Buccos are trying to come back. A fan base we can have a lot of sympathy for, I think is fair to say, given the fact that they're being very badly treated by their owner too. They've got the ballpark and still the owner won't invest. Yes, insert your John Fisher comments there. So yeah, would like to see the Buccos doing well, and that's a loss. I mean, we don't yet know how long it's out for, but you suspect for a couple of months or so. They've won 6 of their first 9 games. The Pirates have won back-to-back series. So yeah, they're doing well. Good on them. And finally, people who are doing well, good on them. I mean, it's bittersweet, isn't it? But let's give them their props. Matt Olson and Matt Chapman. So Matt Olson, both players, in fact, play 10 games, 40 at-bats. Matt Olson, 3 home runs, 11 RBI. There's their batting line, 350, 447, slugging, 700. And Matt Chapman, 2 home runs, 14 RBI, a 475 batting average, and was just announced just about an hour or so ago as MLB's American League Player of the Week. So doesn't that make you feel good as an A's fan? seeing those guys doing so well. I will say Matt Chapman, to me, maybe this sounds a bit harsh, but Matt Chapman is precisely the sort of player who he'll have a big year. This is his contract year. He'll have a big year. Whether he'll ever live up to it again, I don't know. But he is precisely the sort of person who would have a big contract year to get that contract. And fair play to him, fair play to him. Same with Olsen. Sean Murphy's not really got hitting yet for the Braves. But yeah, we don't bemoan any of them. Even Cole Evan, when we play him this week, good on them. They do well for us. They know how it is. The A's are going to trade you away. I'm sure if we had an owner who was prepared to invest not just in those players, but in other players, they would be happy to stay. I know Chappie sometimes didn't quite give that vibe off in some of the things he said, and maybe Chappie was always destined to go, as some players are, right? Some players like the bright lights, but it's frustrating. It's not frustrating seeing Matt Olsen and Matt Chapman doing so well because that's expected. It's the fact that did we really get enough for them? The jury is very much out. But of course, that brings us back to the news on Kevin Smith coming back into the lineup. And there we go. Let's bring that up again. Kevin Smith coming back on the roster. He starts tonight at shortstop. We got him in a Matt Chapman trade. I would love him to come good. Come on, Matt Chapman. Don't become Franklin Barreto Part 2 from the Josh Donaldson trade. This is going to be the guy for the Matt Chapman trade. He's going to come through for us and do really well. So hopefully he starts off well. Laura, I wondered if you were still about, Laura. I thought Laura will say something about Oli because I know what you like. Oli forever, definitely. Yeah. It's hard not to be happy for him, right? Back home in Georgia, good contract. He had it was a slightly difficult first season because he had the bad luck of being the person to replace Freddie Freeman, who was beloved in Atlanta, rightly so. And so he's always had that he's not Freddie Freeman. Not many people are, right? But he had a good, solid year, and I hope he backs it up this year. I'm sure he will. We all love Oli. Did great things for us, and he's going to do great things for Atlanta. In a very good team with lots of talent around him. What must that be like? You look at people like Matt Olson with the Braves, with players around him, and they're investing in players, with Matt Chapman, with great players around him, the Toronto Blue Jays going out. Bob Melvin, of course, more than anything, they're managing the San Diego Padres. All the talent he has at his disposal. It's a very different ball game to the one that everyone has to suffer in Oakland. And the people who suffer as much as anyone is us fans. Yes, I know you too well. We really need, I have a lot of sympathy for the A's social media people and all the promotional people and the communications team, because everything they ever post naturally gets loads of comments from people saying, what about Vegas? What about Oakland? What about Fisher? What about Cavill? It's not their fault, is it? Let's be honest, in terms of the social media people. But that's where we are. We need answers. We need to be treated with a bit of respect, and we're not being treated with any. And it's very frustrating anyway when a team's doing badly. It all just really comes together into a very vicious melting pot of discontent and unhappiness. And on that cheery note, I shall bring the live stream to an end. So it's been good fun talking to you all. Thank you for all of your comments and questions. Haven't been able to bring everyone up onto the screen and reply to everyone, but I've done my best. So it's always nice. That's why I like doing these live streams. It's the nature of being a baseball fan in the UK. I'm fortunate that we've got Dom, Mark, Hannah, and others here in the UK, Jen, and some other people over here who are all big A's fans. But we live all in different parts of the country, so we meet up whenever we can. I'm up in London just 3 or 4 weeks ago. But it's nice to be able to talk to fans and have this interaction. And we know what Twitter's like. Sometimes that can be a bit of a devil's playground, can't it? So, yes. It's nice to have a good chat with people, even if we disagree sometimes. It's always good to have a chat. Lol, take care. Thanks, Bandino and Joel. Thank you for being frank and honest regarding our favourite team. Absolutely. And I will say, for all the idiots out there who post nonsense about attendance, we are seeing, I forget the name of the guy who tweeted, who did a big rant yesterday. I forget his name, and apologies because it was great. But there are still plenty of people out there who do realise what's going on and are prepared to call John Fisher and Major League Baseball out for it. And I think big thing for me is Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball are facilitating this. They are enabling this. I find it absolutely bizarre that Major League Baseball are happy about what the A's are doing. They just condone it. I don't understand that at all, but there we go. That's where we are. Anyway, that's annoyed me at the end of the live stream. Let's be positive. We've got a game, I won't say to enjoy. I'm not going to watch this one live, I have to say. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to get up early tomorrow morning before work and watch it back. Hopefully, the A's are going to rebound from a difficult, terrible series. Let's call it terrible series against the Rays. And they're going to come good, get a win, get that good feeling going, a good, happy, feel-good moment. Maybe Kevin Smith being the one to come through and to do it for us. And we'll get on track and get going. Next live stream, as I mentioned earlier, I am going to do a live stream on Thursday. That will be after the Baltimore Orioles game that day. So it's an early game, 10 past 10, I think it is, a.m. in Oakland time, 10 past 6 p.m. time here in the UK. So probably about 9 o'clock UK time, 1 o'clock Oakland time. But after the game, maybe 10, 15 minutes after the game, we will have a chat looking back at the 4-game series against Baltimore and looking ahead to the weekend series against the Mets. But before we do that, thank you again, everyone, for watching and for commenting along. Don't forget to subscribe at Oakland Day UK across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. And hopefully we get some good news for the Baltimore series and we can be in a happier frame of mind when we get back to it with another live stream on Thursday. Thanks again for watching. Really grateful for your support. See you soon.